Thank you so much for Chi for joining us for this interview today. I think the first question we have is to how do you find your voice and belonging? Based on your LinkedIn profile, it looked like you came to the US 2 decades ago. So at that time, there are even fewer Asian female who work in the tech, and diversity and inclusion are definitely not popular at that time. So we are very curious, how do you brave through this wilderness? How do you find your voice in the workplace, in the tech? Because we also did a quick survey, and many of us had the similar feelings that when we go into a meeting room, oftentimes we are the only Asian female in the room, and also the youngest looking one, because for Asian we never age. And also generally speaking, for Asian, where the culture we have is more quiet and more reserved, while in the US mainstream culture, it kind of favors outspoken. So just wonder, how do you balance and how do you find your voice?
Okay. Thank you, Alice, for having me. I think you asked a lot of good questions. Let me start from beginning. Yeah, these are all actually very good questions. If you think about, like just trigger me to start think about, oh, from the beginning of my career, how did I come to this state? Yeah, from the very beginning, it is hard. Not just you want to say something, you want to have opinion. Even if you have opinion, number one is it's hard to understand what others are talking about in the room. Sometimes it's just they use some phrases you don't know, right? And at that time, my vocabulary was very limited as well. And also the accent, we were used to what we heard in English corner, but it's never really put English in practice in talking to people. And only in the limited years in the school here, then we start to talk to people purely English, and it was hard, right? Like even if you listen to the professor's lecture in the class, it's limited. You have the textbook, so that can sort of help you, right? And they will not use all sorts of daily phrases that they normally don't. They just use these technical words, so it's much easier to understand. But when you get to work, many of those things they start to use those phrases, right? At that time, for example, I didn't even know like put the cards in front of the dog or something like that in front of a horse. Or like the tail wag the dog, or the squeaky wheel got the grease. And many of these phrases, just like, what? What did you say? So it was hard. I guess it's just a practice. It's like I watch English TVs in the night and try to catch up and try to hang out with native speaking friends, go out hiking with them over the weekend and, chat with them, work or not work. So it's just practice. There's no magic, just like a piano, like many other things, just time in it to practice. Now, when you gradually go over that language barrier, the next is how to share your opinion. A lot of time we will have this fear in our heart. It's like, am I wrong, right? Even today, it could be like, I might be an idiot if I should like appear like an idiot if I say it aloud, right? Like, what people will think about me saying that. So that's something, it's just over years of practice, put it aside, put it behind you, is just saying, hey, doesn't matter. Even if it's a stupid question, sometimes you can just say it up front, say, hey, I'm going to ask a stupid question. Here is this. So make people just like, sometimes you set the expectation so low, they will like forgive everything you say. Secondly is with, of course, right, we have to do a lot of work ourselves out of the normal working hour. If you just work 9 to 5, indeed, unlikely you will catch up, you will develop insight. You have to spend a lot of extra time reading, coding out of your, I do, I'm not saying everybody should do, but I do, because that's basic. And of course, like you, right, probably you have other skills you have to develop for your work. So everybody just have to spend a little work outside of the work time to enrich themselves, so that in the meetings, right, you can share some insight that you found out, on the blog post, on the internet, on the GitHub, that others don't know. So that also build up the confidence of yourself in front of others.
Yeah, so that's very, very helpful. Thank you for sharing. So it turns out she also sharing the similar struggles at the beginning. So really no secret, just practice, practice, and practice. And definitely lots of hard work. And so, in addition to our work time, we also like spending some extra time to continue to dive deep and learning in the topics, especially you want to go ahead and share valuable insights from the industry. We need some, I guess that kind of like need some like with great passion to continue to learn, even at off work hours.
Absolutely, absolutely. Alice, I want to share this one thing. If people forget about everything I say today, this one thing I want people to keep it and like remember is the passion takes a long way. Really, it's a passion. Like if you really think about it, it's the pay, it's a daily work, get exceed expectation, good rating at the review time, or make your boss happy. Nothing will sustain. It really is a passion, and a lot of time. I sometimes I say that, right? Like, yes, the resource is always limited. We are always under resource crunch. We never have enough people to do the things we want. But you will sometimes see the things, the really cool things, right? That somehow just get developed so fast out of nowhere. Like it's not even properly resourced. But if with a bunch of people they're so passionate about something, they will get it done. Trust me, they will get it done. So eventually it is the passion that will take someone a long way. Like in my last few job switches, you can see it's actually always triggered by project. It's some project I wanna explore some new areas I wanna explore, and I like it. I have passion for it, so I did it. It's never about I proactively interview like tens or hundreds of companies to try to change, but it's always like some project there that make me feel, hey, I wanna give it a try.
Cool. Now that you mentioned passion, I'm curious, are you born with this passion in this field, or like okay, I see you. So what are some of the curious, what kind of some of the events that shape you to find your, like how do you find your passion?
Yeah, I don't think it's a aha moment or suddenly I start to have passion. It does go up and down sometimes, and over time, I think the more you are into the field, the more you know, and the more growth and many results coming out of it, then your passion get developed. It's not like, yeah, you have passion all up front. It's a like kind of like a interactive, like a iterative, not interactive, sorry, iterative process. Like you first know something and you have passion to do something more, and then you find you need to know more, you gain more knowledge, and then you can do more. So gradually your like passion gets snowballed and grow bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So I still remember like before, I think 2011 or 12, right? When I joined back to Microsoft, we started to build this distributed build system. At that time, it was taking like, many hours to finish one build. I was like, yeah, I cannot be that developer sitting in front of a computer and stare at the screen, have nothing to do. So I decided to build this distributed build system. And we started with just the three of us. We start to measure things, explore around and find out where are the bottlenecks, what are the possible solutions, right? We know we'll go with distributed, but how do you distribute? The language itself is not distributed friendly, right? It's the language is written in a way that's only monolithic. Suppose every build job is done on a single box. So we start to explore, and 3 months later, three of us actually get a prototype. We bring down an 8-hour build to 20 minutes. That was right before the Christmas. We were like, oh, this is the best Christmas gift for ourselves. You see that happiness come, without the money reward, without anything, without promotion, anything. It's just like we're so happy and proud of our work. And of course, after that, we gradually grow that and grow to a bigger team and become a very successful project.
Yeah, so that's the kind of passion for a builder. You create something, you put your like how to say, you put your heart, sweat, and tears to this project, and then it's kind of like a positive feedback loop. So
Yes.
you do something good, you get like this kind of excitement, and it can continue to drive your passion going forward.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So aside from passion, the other one is curiosity. That's something I think I started to learn that when I first time joined Google. At that time, Google has a very good culture. Aside from many other ones, this one is very good. It says when somebody give you an idea, right, propose something, some idea, project, first don't say no, but that's a human nature to say no, like a human nature say, I don't know, it shouldn't work, like, the current way works perfect, but that no, that cannot work. But usually it is those moments that you miss the opportunity. So Google is asking everybody first, try to say, yeah, that's a good idea, not even really internalize it to actually agree with it, but first let's say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So even use the word to give a positive signal to yourself to say, hey, it's an idea that's worth exploring. And then go ahead, take a look and see if it's actually good or there's places to improve. Because most ideas, they come from some motivation, some issue to solve. It's not like people just want to do useless work. Most people are smart, and smart people come up with ideas, usually try to solve problem. So usually it's actually a reasonable idea. You could help them join the force improve. So that actually helped me a lot. There's a really mindset change, and then you start to be more curious. That grow your curiosity when things are not the way you want, or when something that you feel, hey, this sucks, I need to change. Don't just say it sucks. It is, oh, if it sucks, what can I do to improve? So that curiosity kicked in and really can take. It really took me in a long way.
That's interesting. I learned something. So basically, instead of jumping to say no, like change it to like a curiosity perspective. So kind of like feeling like we are a child again, just to that explorer mode, and to say, what else could we do? Okay, this is interesting. What can we do to make it better? So that just changed the whole perspective and changed the mindset to start. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool. That's very interesting. So what are your top two key values and how they guide your behavior and decision, especially when times are tough, in challenging times? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think I already shared the one to you, right? The be curious and have the passion, right? Be curious. A passion sometimes indeed it goes up and down. Even there's, like you said, there's a good time, there's a hard time. You can hit setbacks. Sometimes it's just you feel you hit a wall, right? But this curiosity is the one really can help get people a long way. Even in, not, let's say, put the technology aside, let's say just dealing with people. It's for managers, we want to have, again, the curiosity, really genuine curiosity to understand somebody, understand the people. um, um, so that's why I feel this is my biggest thing. The number one thing is have the curiosity for everything. And when I face problem, face setback, face difficult time or good time, no matter what, I have the curiosity. Even if it's a good time, I won't be too arrogant or say, oh, I'm so good, my project is perfect, right? Still keep the humble, be humble, and keep the curiosity to respect the others' opinions. Now, the second part that you asked too, right? The second one, I pay a lot of attention. I mean, I hold myself to it, and also hold my reports and other people on it, is be honest on numbers, right? Be honest on numbers. So that's what I set the rules for AKS is for ourselves and for before we launch a feature. And for any other product we're going to integrate into AKS, I was saying, hey, we have to have these four numbers. Doesn't matter it's good or bad. We have to have it. Number one is usage. How many users are already using it? Number two is the quality. What's the success and failure rate? Number three is what's the performance? What is the latency people will see in this feature? And number four is what scale they will get to. This is just an example. I know for finance, there must be something else as well, right? But
Yeah.
only the numbers, yes, numbers can lie as well. I'm not saying, oh, just look at number, because sometimes you are measuring the wrong thing, right? But have the courage to even review the numbers and face these numbers is a good step forward, because now you can say, wow, this sucks here. Why is so long latency? Let's look at it. Let's trace it, and which span, which part we can optimize, right? That's how it brings ATS, like Azure Kubernetes Service, as the fastest one to create among all the three major cloud Kubernetes managed Kubernetes services. So
Oh,
we compare
wow.
with the GKE and the EKS and ATS. Right now, we are the fastest. Our 95 percentile is at 4 or 5 minutes. And the others like 8, and Amazon EKS is about 20 or 15 to 20. That's like a few months ago, I did the research and the test myself, but now it might change. But as you can see, right, if you know, but we were not here 4 years ago when we just started. 4 years ago, I still remember every day I run my little cron job and keep collecting the numbers. It's about 15 to 20 minutes to provision. From 15, 20 to 5. It's a long journey, right? But it's a lot of hard work from people to really measure it and fix little by little. Like every like a second is a gain is worthwhile, like that. Right. So that's what I'm saying is be true to yourself, be true to a team, be true to your customers. Then you will get good results. Because you know where is the North Star, what's the goal.
Yeah, that's amazing. So in 4 years, from 15 or 20 minutes to 5 minutes, and right now we are number one in the industry. So that's kind of very impressive results. Definitely, lots of things we can learn and apply in our business as well. And so I found it very touching, the two qualities you mentioned. One is be curious, not just on technology, but also be curious with people. And the second thing is be true on the numbers. And I think that alleviate, especially be true on the number, that alleviate lots of the fears. I think that sometimes uh, we could be our we can be our worst enemy. So just be honest, be very utterly honest. I think that helps set up a very good culture. And then your teammates, everybody will see. And and the customer will see, and they can see the progress that we made. So that is very helpful.
Yeah. Just one thing to share is be true to the numbers doesn't mean blaming or finger pointing, right? Be true to the numbers have to come with another thing is we work on it together as a team together. So in AKS, we also have the culture, like a no blame culture. Like even if somebody triggered a step one or because of somebody's code, we do not want to ask the names. We ask which PR, we look at it, and then we run postmortem. Of course, this person responsible will run the postmortem, but we do not focus on you made the mistake. We focus on what we can do in the future so that we don't make the same mistake again. We do not pay the same cost again. So that's also important is, yeah, I think that these two go hand in hand. We cannot just say focus on number, because sometimes people will say, hey, my number is better than yours. It's not that, not judgmental, but it's more about use these numbers to drive the best experience for customers.
Yeah, that's very important. Focus on the number, but also no blame culture, so that we can like honestly share. And I think that really help unleash the creativity and potential, because you create that safe environment for people to be true to ourselves and to look at the numbers and brainstorm, so that we can continue to improve and do better jobs in the future.
Yeah.
So that's another topic I'm curious is that, especially with the last 2 years with the COVID, it's been like a remote working culture. So I wonder how, like, what is your experience, or what do you learn about yourself or your team over the last 2 years while managing a large remote team, working on a very challenging project? Yeah.
Yeah, it's mixed. So AKS, I think thanks to Brendan. Brendan is my manager and who is also one of the three founders of Kubernetes. So Brendan really advocate remote friendly culture. Like AKS, my org span across 6 or 7 time zones. I think 3 continents, four, four, five, I think, countries, right? If you think about it, it's a very distributed organization, and even organize a whole all hands meeting is very tough.
Yeah.
uh, so we try to make sure all meetings, regardless, like if you guys are already in office or something, it always goes through Teams. So use Teams, or other people can use Zoom, Google Meets, all of that. But use these tools to do the meetings. So make sure that remote folks are not left out. Right. The worst is you want them to left out. They are not informed of the changes or things you want to know. The second part is the sync up. So the manager has to do more. Indeed, you have to proactively reach out, not just wait for one-on-one. When something is going on, there's something need your attention, you need to immediately ping people and try to get the response, get the signal right away. Because if in your office, you can get signal from overhearing what other people are talking about, right? But here, and people can come to you and just quickly tell you. But here, the screen is a barrier. I said the screen is a barrier. People will think, if I type it, is that gonna be too formal? Does it sound like escalation? So I have to make sure we have this culture in the organization. Say it's okay, it's safe and confidential. It's okay to share, and there's no judgmental, right? It's no judgment. It's just like, hey, you want to share, and let's solve the problem. What is the problem? It's a focus on problem solving. Collaboration is challenging. We try to use wiki and a document to collaborate. We try to do more asynchronous collaboration. People read the docs and write their opinions, and then we have design review meeting or non-review meeting later to consolidate all of the feedback and eventually say yes or no. Um, and for new hire, what I see is the more senior ones seem to be able to handle it better because they probably either are already doing it somewhere else, or they are mature enough to how to handle their time even when they are working at home, like really separate, right? But for more junior people, I do see some challenges. So that's why some of my leads, some of the team in my org, they require the junior people to come on site first, at least for some time, to get familiar with the people, and so that they can get unblocked quickly if they are blocked on something. So I feel that's valuable. It's really not, oh, they are not capable, but more about how can we help them to get to productivity, have a higher productivity in a faster pace.
That makes sense. So it's a mix of collaboration, but also I think it all comes down to how could help each team member, help them to grow and be more productive. So that's why different strategies for different team members. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another, the most curious question, the career journey you had definitely is a road less traveled. There are there's so few Asian female, especially first generation Asian female, who make it to a very high level executive position in a tech field. So I wonder, what kind of advice do you want to give to like a younger version of yourself, or for others who want to start in the tech field? So
yeah, I think of course, this is a very short one. It's probably not, I can't share, like give all of the ones, all of the things I learned. Definitely reading books is one of them.
yeah.
And be humble and always, like, again, back to curious and always eager to learn when you get to a new position or role or field. So give an example. A few years ago, when I first time, because before I want to be architect, I don't want to be people manager. I feel like, gosh, people management is so hard, and as a, English is my not my native language. It's gonna be challenging, right? And how do I sense people's need? And the biggest thing is I fear that, if I'm IC, I screw up my own career. But if as a manager I screw up other people's career. That is harder. That is worse. Yeah. So when I first, but later on I changed my view. I think that I do want to be a manager. I do want to learn management. And so when I first became manager, I got a lot of books. I got a lot of audio books from how to make management successful, like all sorts of things, right? There's some you can learn. It's like not everything in every book is good. Like you don't have to know all of them, but every book there's something I found that oh aha, like I learned something. So definitely start with the books. A few books I recommend. One is the Status Quo.
Oh,
That's the first book that really triggered me to break out of the jail, break out of the thinking, and really be more acceptable things. It's kind of like Google's "Hey, say yes to all the new ideas." So this is a book, very little short book, very quick to read. Status Quo. Then there are other books like I think suddenly forgot her name. She write a set of the Rising Strong.
Brene Brown.
Yeah, yes, yeah. She's I'm a kind of fan of her. Like she wrote a lot of these good books. Though a lot of books you kind of like there are a lot of examples. Kind of you can I kind of skip it. But the more get to the what's the tip? What's actually the the thing to learn? Um,
I actually read her books. I come up with the interview questions for today
oh, okay.
because
Yeah,
you inspire me of her for some reason. So
yeah, I read a lot. So actually, like 4 or 5 of her books. That's one. Actually, that remind me. Recently, this lady sent me a book that I didn't prepare it for today. It just remind me. She sent me this book. I don't know. Oh,
take
that the
back
other.
your power.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
power
she
woman.
is she was a VP in Facebook, I think Meta, and now she's a CEO of Ancestry, Deborah Liu, and she's also I think I think she was born here, but she's also Asian female, and she kind of grew up in this kind of culture. Like even though you are the second generation, probably your mom and dad are still like raising
Yeah.
you like a kids in China, and like a tiger
Yeah.
mom and try to make you so successful even in the kindergarten. Um, yeah,
That
so
is
I
so
think
true.
yeah, I feel her book does have some very good tips. I mean, I read through. I haven't been able to share, but it's a pretty good one. And then another one that made a big difference in my perspective of how to dealing with things is getting more interesting. So I believe the author is Diamond Stewart. He was teaching this in the Harvard Business School as well. I heard. So at some point, Google was hiring him to teach this course, this book in Google. It's a very interesting perspective. Like, how do you focus on goal? How do you not think about the win-lose or even win-win? Just focus on getting your goal achieved. Do not be distracted by emotional things or win or lose, those kind of emotional fears.
To not get distracted by emotional fear, but still you need to go down to your heart and think about whether you want to go forward with this goal, right?
Yeah, that definitely. That's another thing is if the goal is wrong, the faster you run, then the further away you are from the real goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so set the right goal upfront, keep evaluating. That's why in many design reviews, the first thing is we spend a lot of time debating the PRD, the product requirement document. Like, are we addressing the right requirements? Right. So that's sort of like, are we running towards the right goal? If not, we better fix it upfront.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's very interesting, Chi, now that you mentioned the Asian culture. Even for the second generation, we still have the pressure of tiger mom, tiger dad, and be successful, either be a doctor, lawyer, maybe they say as software engineer now, or you are a loser. So I wonder, like for this, or maybe not just for Asian culture, for those with the type A personality in general, that kind of like striving for perfection, and kind of like the side effect is you maybe sometimes you will have imposter symptoms when you are like completely new project. So I'm curious how you definitely jump out of your comfort zone in many occasions. So I wonder how do you deal with that situations? Yeah.
That's a very good question. Yeah, talking about the imposter syndrome, right? I think
Yeah.
I don't know about others, but the female friends I talk to, almost everyone has it. Everyone will have it at some point, or constantly question like, am I good enough for the job? I don't know many things. I
Yeah.
have to ramp up so many things. I mean, even the a very
And
smart lady.
regardless of color, I know that's what.
Regardless, exactly,
Yeah.
regardless, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a little bit, I don't know if it's a female, it's more like not say mom, but more like a
Reflective,
facilitator,
maybe more reflective. Yeah.
more reflective, more thinking like, oh, did I do something wrong? Always trying to be perfect, right? Do the good things and helping others. Yeah, even like one of the very, very, very smart lady in my team. Yeah, she's like, superstar. I hired her from Google, and still sometimes she will feel like, hey, did I do this wrong in people management, in project? Um, uh, so I can sense that. I many times I will reconfirm with her, say, hey, you're doing a good job, don't worry, you're doing a good job. It's just like, this is the goal, let's focus on the goal, just don't be distracted. Focus on the goal. But yeah, a lot of people have that, and the way to overcome, I see, like, even I got recently promoted, right? And then I will say, did I get promoted too fast? Did I get, still you feel like, yeah, you have a very good record there. The revenue record. People are keep saying that, that is your evidence. Don't worry. But you still think, am I still in the pool? Do I, qualify as other corporate vice president? How do they behave? How do they cover? Because they manage so many projects, right? So you still constantly are thinking like, am I in the right position? But then at the end, I feel like, wow, it's the customer and the revenue, and customer and revenue matters, right? At the end, just think about, focus on these things. It's just no use to worry about this because the worry will
Yeah.
never help me. It will just drag me down
Yeah.
from what I want to achieve. Just focus on the goal.
Yeah. Focus on the goals. Focus on the most important, the customer and revenue. I don't let the fear bother you. I guess it's. Thank you so much, Chi, for sharing your. It's like heartfelt conversation. I think many of us could relate to that, and even your own doubts. I guess it's just always, probably it will always there for many of us. Just acknowledge that, but don't go down to that rabbit hole. Don't distracted by that. Focus on the goals. Focus on like the most important thing. Yeah. For the last question, I wonder, what kind of impact do you want to make in the world at your stage right now? Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, this is the time actually I keep asking myself, what do I want to do before I die? Because that's kind of like force me to really consider, right? Like, one day, or everybody will face that. So what do I want to achieve before that? Or yeah, like you said, what impact? I think, to me, I probably won't have the impact like, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Satya, these 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 big CEOs and very smart guys. But I think everybody make an impact in their own way to the world, and the world is just, it doesn't matter it's big or small. There are just so many opportunities out there to grab, and jump onto the one that your passion drive you. So for me, I feel I first start. I think part of the thing that help me successful here is I really focus. I focus on my customers. I really want to make their experience good, because sometimes I feel sad when I see their experiences suck. Right? I see they are struggling with their experience on the service. I get mad, and then I will jump in and trying to get team work with me together to fix things. Um, and then on bigger scope, I also hope, because for a long time, I also have dreams of education. I feel like nowadays the education system is too rigid, even though US is trying to make it less hard as for Chinese students. But still, what they are teaching is not not cater to the capability of the kids or their interest even. Like every kid has their own dimension of interest. When you see it matches, these two matches, wow, they excel. I have a real example from my middle school and high school classmate. Like her score was so bad for many, many years. And one day she visited the English teacher when the teacher was sick in the hospital. And after like an hour or something talk, her English just went up straight, like, exponentially. Then she ended up with #1 in our whole grade when she graduates in English in particular, right? So I feel like it's not, there's no bad students. It's really, not enough resources to empower them to show their talent. So, yeah, so if I get a chance, I will try to do something there as well if I can.
That's very inspiring. I could like two things that touch my heart. One is I don't think you're just focusing on the customer. You're truly caring for the customer because you get upset, you get frustrated when they don't get experience. So you truly care, and then you put in extra effort to improve their experience. And I like when you talk about empowering the other mission, the empowering students with education. It I also feel so inspired. Like I think not just in education, but in also our daily life, personally or professionally, there are really no bad students. That could be a metaphor in so many areas. There are really no bad students. How we could empower them to achieve more and be more. So
Yeah, that's very challenging though. That's very hard. Yeah, I really appreciate some tools like a Khan Academy, right? They are free and they give every students this access to these materials. I'm even hoping that the college education can be like that too, like MIT, Stanford, they open source, or CMU, they open source a lot of their materials. If in US, all the college application could be freely accessible to everybody, right? But then at the time of graduation, then you pass certain things. And it's also like, follow your passion. What you need to do later is what you want to learn. Of course, you can learn other things, but that's the most important, right? So basically, the education system is to prepare you to be successful for your life and face many changes in the life. If our education system can do like that, I feel it will be we'll be have many more happy students instead of every student competing and say, oh, I write this essay, I will have so many reviews and I'll get straight A and I'll get SAT. Well, even SAT is kind of gone, but still, right? It's a kind of many rules to measure them, even though
yeah,
many
yeah,
holistic schools trying to measure them in more dimensions, but it's still that measure. I was like, why does the college admission has to measure them? Why it's not the graduation, right? Why it's not the actual work that need them to measure them? Um, but yeah, I guess it's too early now for US to change that system.
Definitely share your passion. I believe I think there are many in the field. They are wanting to do something to change the education system because we can see it's not keep up to speed with the tech, with the changes in the world today. And definitely, like you mentioned, like why put it in a competition like in a such narrow criteria? It show there could be more, and there are a lot more potential
Right.
in
Imagine the admission officer. How can admission officer understand a student spending 5 minutes reading their essay, right? It's just
yeah,
insane, right? And unless the people do some niche, use some special ways to catch their attention. But is that right? Right? Sometimes I feel that's why I feel the admission should be, free and like everybody can access. If we can make the education system scalable, I think the education system really haven't changed too much since like 200-300 years ago, right? Like they
yeah,
established it here. So it's
yeah,
still like, oh, limited resource, limited dorm, limited professors to teach you. But with the help of tech, like you said, we could make it more scalable, more available to more students. And, they only need to be measured at the graduation time or when they join the workforce.
yeah,
But that's something to think about.
yeah. Something to think about. Thank you so much, Chi, again for this interview. I found it so inspired and also personally touched so many of what you shared. So I hope the audience could share my the inspiration as well. So thank you again, Chi, and thank you for the audience for listening to this. And until next time, be the hero of your own life. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Alice. Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Bye.